everybody, could you use some good news? Well, let's start with this. Researchers in Germany have conducted an experiment which allowed them to witness in real time as single-celled life forms transitioned into multicellular organisms. This study was conducted at the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Biology in Plön, Germany, and is published in the journal Nature. It used the bacteria Pseudomonas fluorescens, which typically exists as independent single cells, but which sometimes carries a mutation that produces an adhesive that causes cells to remain together following cell division. The Planck Institute scientists found that under the right conditions, the Pseudomonas cells would stick together and form collectives, mats floating on the surface of the water. But they were still just colonies of single-celled organisms. Here's the really amazing part. The scientists induced the Pseudomonas mats to reproduce through a two-phase life cycle that relied on so-called cheater cells, that is, cells that benefited from living in the colony but which lacked the adhesive mutation that held the colony together. The mats that resulted from this process were found to be more than collections of independent cells. The fitness of the mat as a whole was no longer tied to the fitness of each individual cell. The colonies of single cells had evolved into multicellular organisms. Next up, a new image captured by a radio telescope reveals never-before-seen details of planets forming around a young star. The star is HL Tau. It's located about 450 light-years away in the constellation Taurus. This is an artist's impression of HL Tau based on the new image, which was taken by ALMA, the largest radio telescope array on the planet. You can see the star in the center, and surrounding it, that's the protoplanetary disk. The rings you see within the disk are the result of young planets orbiting the star, sweeping their paths clear of dust and debris as they go. Here's the actual ALMA image. What you are looking at is the sharpest, most detailed image ever captured of a star in the process of planetary formation. And the most striking thing about it is how closely it matches up with the prevailing theories and computer models constructed to explain planetary formation. This is exactly what astronomers expected something like this to look like. And isn't it spectacular? This last one would have been better for Halloween, but hey, better late than never. Researchers in Switzerland have succeeded in conjuring ghosts right in their laboratory. Throughout human history, people from all backgrounds, in all kinds of circumstances, have reported feeling ghostly presences. A frozen, exhausted mountaineer claims to have felt an invisible climber descending along with him. A grieving widow swears the spirit of her dead husband was there in the room with her. A man in an impossible situation suddenly feels the comforting presence of an invisible guardian angel beside him. A new study from researchers at the EPFL in Lausanne, Switzerland, suggests that these ghostly presences, as convincing and powerful as they can be to those who experience them, are all in the mind. The researchers found that these feelings of being in the presence of an apparition are the result of the brain misinterpreting certain sensory signals as coming from outside the body rather than from the body itself. They had human subjects participate in a dissonance experiment where they were blindfolded while a robot positioned behind them touched their back in time with their own hand movements. Then, the robot's movements were retimed to be asynchronous to the subjects. After a few minutes of this, 5 subjects spontaneously reported feeling a presence in the room with them. Some reported multiple presences, as many as 4. And some found the experience so disturbing that they asked to stop the experiment. This study is perhaps the most compelling evidence yet that ghosts are illusions created by our senses, existing only in our minds. It's published in the journal Current Biology. An experiment recreates the leap from single-celled to multi-celled life. A stunning new image captures planets in the process of being formed, and researchers demonstrate that ghosts live in your brain. And here's one last bit of good news, which, if you're like me, is the thing you're most excited about this week. For the first time ever, the 1960s Batman TV show starring Adam West is being released on home video. Here in the US, it goes on sale on DVD and Blu-ray today. And that, old chum, is the good news. Who is your favorite Catwoman? Yeah, Julie Newmar. Mine too.